Tonight, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about why teachers are quitting the profession. Teachers are not quitting the profession because they hate teaching. Teachers are quitting the profession because they're trying to survive. Their bodies, our bodies, were never designed to do the things that are required in a classroom. Every day, I hear from teachers who say, I just absolutely love my students. I love to teach, but I can't stand what's happening to my body. And so as a result, they feel overwhelmed and they feel defeated. And here's the truth that nobody in education talks about: the weight that we feel as teachers, that is not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of a lack of effort. It's not a failure of passion on our part. Rather, there's a little bit of something else happening in our body, and it's just beneath the surface. And most teachers have never been shown, and they've never been, or it's never been given a name. And as a result, most don't understand it. They don't know how to interpret it. But by the end of this video, I want to be able to walk you through a part of burnout and in through a conversation that very few people ever explore. I want to show you how your mind keeps you or tries to put you forward, why your heart wants to care for your students, why you want to keep teaching as it relates to your mind, but somehow or another your body continues to shut down. And there's a reason for this. There's a real reason for it. And once you see it, the entire landscape of burnout is going to make absolute sense to you in a way that brings relief rather than shame. And I want you to know this. I want you to hear this, is that you're not fighting laziness. It's not a lack of grit on your part. It's not because there's something wrong with you. Rather, you're up against a biological response, something that's automatic. It is completely out of your control. But it is something that can be changed, right? You can create some rhythm in your life, and you can create some awareness. And by the end of our video tonight, and what we're doing is you're going to understand exactly what's been happening inside of your body and why the exhaustion that you carry as a teacher, why that's not your fault. Now, here's the thing. Many teachers live under the auspices of guilt, and they believe that if they try harder, if they work harder, if they do more, if they plan better, then somehow or another, things are going to get a little bit easier. Many teachers each week have the belief that the exhaustion that they feel, that is just a personal issue. All week long, they tell themselves, all I got to do is work a little bit harder and I can get ahead. And I want you to know that that is a belief trap, and it creates shame, and shame always 100% of the time isolates us. Anytime that we feel like we are inadequate or something has happened that makes us feel inadequate, we automatically begin to feel shame, and we automatically begin to isolate ourselves. And here's the truth. The reason why you want to quit, it's not because of teaching. And the reason why you're overwhelmed, it's not because you're failing as a teacher or as a human being. It's because there is an issue going on inside of your body. The symptoms that you feel, the symptoms that educators deal with: exhaustion, fogginess, cognitive decline, decision fatigue, all of those things happening inside of your body. There's a reason for those. And it's because your nervous system has been pushed into, I want to say, overdrive. And what is happening is that your body is going into survival mode. And that is a result of being in a state of chronic stress for 10 months out of the year. And it doesn't even take 10 months for that to happen. The fact of the matter is that it takes place between the month of August and October, and it only gets worse beyond there. And a lot of times we use the word stress, and that doesn't really describe what we're talking about, because stress is like sort of like a fire alarm. It's meant to alert you to there being something that you need to respond to. But once you respond to it and you take care of the issue, the fire alarm goes off. Burnout is quite the opposite. Burnout happens when the fire is gone, but the alarm continues to ring. Now, you may find this to be a funny story because I find this to be I find it to be extraordinarily irritating. But where I work at my school, there's always been this glitch in our fire system. And every once in a while, the fire system, it'll just beep and beep and beep, and it'll go off, and it'll go off all the time. And it 100% drives you nuts. There's no fire, but the fire alarm continues to go off, and the indicator continues to go off. And you go up and you reset it, and it comes back on. You go up and you reset it, and it comes back on. And that's exactly what burnout is like. Burnout is saying, your body is saying that there's a problem, except there's no problem that you can observe. There's nothing that you can actually find, but the alarm continues to go off. Your mind is trying to move forward. Your heart's trying to care, but your nervous system is sending out these signals, and it's saying something's wrong. It's not safe. And the tension between your intentions as a teacher and your biology is what produces the exhaustion that most teachers, they can't put a name on it. They can't quite figure out what it is. Now, one of the things, and we're completely upfront about it here at Teacher Talk, is that we're a faith-forward organization. It's not because we want to be, we don't want to be offensive at all. Rather, we want to be inclusive, but we want you to know who we are. And whenever I think about the issues that we deal with as a teacher, this very specific issue, that your nervous system is locked in and it continues to go off like a fire alarm, and yet there isn't anything wrong, but our body continues to tell us that there is danger. Our mind tells us that there's a danger. That's why the words of Jesus are so important in Matthew chapter 11, verse number 28. And he says this, he says, "Come to me, those who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And as much as that is a spiritual encouragement, it absolutely is 100%. And I'm encouraged every time I read that and every time I hear it taught. But the fact of the matter is that there's also a physical truth to be located inside of that. And that's this, is that the body responds to safety. The nervous system calms down when your mind begins to believe that the burden has been lifted. And by the way, if you're just jumping in here and we haven't met yet, my name is John, and this is Teacher Talk, and we come here live every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And I want to encourage you that if you have any comments or any questions, or once you jump in, go ahead and tell us what your name is. Tell us where you're coming from. If you don't mind, tell us what you teach, what your content area is, what your grade level is. If you're a teacher, if you're not, that's fine. Go ahead and share that with us as well. It's all good. You don't have to be a teacher to be here, because everything that we're going to say is 100% relatable to anybody that's in any profession, anywhere in the entire world. And so we want to hear from you. We absolutely want to hear what you have to say. The body always responds to safety. The nervous system will calm down when it believes that the burden has been lifted. And when Jesus invites those who are weary into rest, he's absolutely talking about spiritual rest, but he's also speaking to the whole person. Right? The mission and the goal of Jesus is not a one-sided healing, only spiritual healing, obviously and clearly, because we see clearly in the scripture on many occasions that he healed those who were sick physically in multiple different ways. And so, yes, there is a spiritual aspect to Matthew chapter 11, verse number 28, but there's also a physical aspect. And that physical aspect, as it relates to what we're talking about tonight, is that the mind can be relieved, the soul can be reassured, the nervous system is given permission to breathe, to take a rest. And at the end of the day, it's like a recognition of who is actually in control, because we can think that we're in control and we can try to fight and we can try to overcome things all by ourselves. But yet he invites us into this relationship where the weary come and the burden can be lifted. So, what is really happening inside of our body? And we have to think biologically, is that our nervous system has two modes. And the first mode is the sympathetic system. And the sympathetic system is like a fire alarm that simply won't shut off, or it's like mashing the gas pedal down in your car and not letting off of it. It is the fight or flight response. And when the brain gets caught up in the fight or flight response, you are no longer working out of the prefrontal cortex of your brain, but you begin to work out of the amygdala, which is, if I understand it correctly, it's like a little peanut looking thing in the middle of your brain. And once you start working out of your amygdala, you don't actually think completely rational. I mean, it's not that you go completely nuts or lose all decision-making abilities, but it's that you're in a fight or flight. Your body or your mind is prepared for a fight. And sometimes that's exactly what it can feel like inside of a classroom. It can feel like a war zone. I mean, you think about all the decisions that a teacher makes in the course of a day. You think about the 1,511 times that a teacher's name is called out, or how many different times you have to repeat instructions, or the amount of times that students misbehave, not just common classroom disruptions, but those who are extraordinarily aggressive and violent in the classroom. And the teacher has to deal with all those things. And as a result, the brain says, hey, man, I got to be ready for a response. And so it gets locked into the fight or flight mode. The second mode that the brain has is the parasympathetic mode. And that's like the switch that turns the sympathetic system off. And it slows the body down. Its heart rate, it slows down the heart rate. It enables us to take some deeper breaths. And that's what signals to the brain that the danger has passed. One of the things that has been observed is when teachers go on summer break, it's about 8 weeks long. Hey, Mad Money Mama, thanks for dropping in. I haven't seen you in a long time. Fight or flight is absolutely 100% real. And one of the things, and you may remember this because we talked about it over the summer, but one of the things that happens is when teachers take summer break, we're off about 8 weeks. But when the brain gets locked into fight or flight mode, what the research indicates is that it takes about 6 weeks for the brain to come out of fight or flight and go back into the parasympathetic or the rest and digest mode. And that's why when teachers are off for the summer, it takes almost to the middle of July before they begin to feel better, before they begin to feel like themselves, before they can begin to feel like they have permission to rest or to not get ready to go basically into a war, because that's what it's like being in a classroom. And we absolutely live for breaks, Mad Money, because that is the only time that we have to recover. And I got to be honest with you, we're pushing up against a 2-week break right here, or 2 weeks we'll be on a break. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know if my brain or if my body can make it. This has been one of the toughest years that I've ever experienced in education. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just our school. Maybe this is the kind of stuff that's going on everywhere. But that's exactly what's going on with me. The parasympathetic system, or the rest and digest, that slows everything down. But teaching has become a job that's like a 5-alarm fire with a bell that's ringing all the time. It's the noise that's in the classroom. It's the pace at which things go. It's the interruptions. It's the classroom behaviors. It's the constant observations. It's the crazy, out of their mind parents that seemingly think that they have the right to abuse teachers and to post them up on Facebook and all the other different things that we have to deal with. It's the lack of administrative support. All of these things activate the sympathetic system, and the alarm never stops ringing for 10 solid months. So Mad Money talks about it's been a rough year everywhere. It has been a difficult year. I'm not exactly sure what's going on or what the difference is, but it is 100% been a tough year. Learning challenges, how far students are behind. Absolutely. You know, I tell you what, we're in like an epidemic of students that have no idea how to read, how to add, subtract, and multiply. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. But to say the least, you know, like our sixth grade students, the vast majority of them are on about a third grade level. And that brings behavior problems to the classroom because when students don't understand, they will fail to engage in the learning process. And when they don't engage in the learning process, you can bet that they're engaged in something else. And it's called misbehavior. So 100%, that is one of the things that we're dealing with. And here's the thing. Teachers get caught in a loop. Why can't you downshift? And that's a very good point that you make right there, is that technology is hurting education quite a bit. And I love technology. I love AI. I love to be able to send out my, whatever it is, my lesson plans or our lessons or whatever our things are that we're doing through Google Classroom and other things. But the fact of the matter is that we have created a technological boondoggle. Hey, Lisa. Absolutely. Oh, it absolutely does, Lisa. That what you were dealing with right there. I'm going to put that up on the screen. Let me get that up. This is a great comment right here. I want to get it up there. So what Lisa says is she found herself on autopilot one day and woke up, and I believe it had to be part of the nervous system. Not sure if that makes sense. So it absolutely does, because that is exactly what happens, is that your body goes into this lockdown mode and you can't get out of it. All right. And I was fixing to talk about the teacher loop and why you can't downshift. The demands of the classroom are not isolated, stressful moments, right? You know, whenever we experience stress, because at the end of the day, stress is actually good for our survival. For instance, we're coming up on the end of the semester, and every teacher I know is going to begin to feel some stress because they got to get all the grades in, right? They get behind in their grading. They got all kinds of other things going on. And so this stress builds up in their body. So what does that stress do? It pushes them to do their job of putting in grades. And it pushes them to work longer hours or to work faster or to work smarter, whatever it is. But once those grades are in, that stress goes away because, again, the fire's been put out. Now, the problem and the thing that that Lisa is explaining is being in this lockdown mode so that you go on autopilot, and it's a loop. It's a constant alarm that's going off beneath the surface. Every transition, every heightened moment, every instance of student behavior adds another signal to the nervous system. I wish you would have called, for sure. You at any time, Lisa, you can 100% call anytime, for sure. So Mad Money, look at her. So teachers are feeling this all over the place. She's totally on autopilot. And so here's what happens is that over time, the body doesn't wait, or the brain doesn't wait for danger to appear. It simply anticipates it. And that's why we become irritable. That's why we snap off at school. That's why we come home and we snap off at home. That's why we can't sleep very well at night, even though we're tired, even though we're completely worn out, even if we sleep a full night's sleep, we're still completely exhausted when we get up. And I want you to know that those feelings, that's not a moral failure on your part. It's not because you did something wrong. Those are the natural signs of a body that has not been allowed to downshift. Um, Holy cow, you're making a good point right there. Look at there. So Mad Money, she's working 7 periods a day right there is what it sounds like to me. And she gets a little bit of an extra stipend for that, which is good. And it, she's pointing it out. But when there's no period to plan or no grade, no time for grading, it's absolutely exhausting. She's 100% right. I don't know how. We have several teachers that take up like the 7 periods a day. I don't know how they do that. That would be very difficult for me to do. Although I'm not in the classroom anymore for clarity. I'm still a teacher, but I'm the dean of students at my school. So I don't even get a break. I don't get time to take lunch. I have to work a lot of extra hours. I'm also the athletic director at my school. So it's nothing for me to work a 10 or 12 or 14-hour day or whatever. And it gets even worse whenever I get into the spring because that's whenever I take over softball and baseball and I have to be outside. So here's what I want you to hear. I want you to get this. This is not a moral failure on your part. It's not a failure at all on your part. It's part of what's built into a broken system and what that system calls. You're absolutely right, Mad Money. There's no time right there. There's no time for intervention. They're all finished. No, you can't meet with the coaches. So you're literally working all by yourself. 100%. 100%. You got to find some time for rest. And I tell you what, now, nobody would ever say this out loud at a school. But since we're not at school, I'm going to go ahead and say it. It does not matter if you can't get all the work done. Go home anyway. Don't worry about the work. The work will always be there. There's never going to be a time when there isn't work to do as a teacher. So don't get stressed out if the work piles up and you get backlogged. Lisa says that she's found that being a special education teacher feels like 2 full-time jobs. All right, look here. She makes a point, co-teaching and paperwork. And she is 100% right. Those of you out there in America, wherever you're at, if you are special ed teachers, you are 100% heroes. You are heroes, 100%. And I will also say this, that going into, our special ed classes, our self-contained room, brings me the biggest joy of anything that I do as a teacher. I absolutely love to go visit with our students that are there. They are the happiest, most joyous, most eager students that I ever get to spend time with, Lisa. And I hope, Lisa, that that's also your experience right there. So, excuse me. The problem that we face, it's not just a physical problem. It's also a spiritual issue. The nervous system is a physical response. It's our biology. And it responds to the external circumstances that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, right? It responds to meaning. It responds to purpose. But our physical condition always has a spiritual aspect. And here's what I mean by that. When your biology or your body or your brain is overwhelmed, your spirit will also be overwhelmed. And when your spirit finds rest, your mind will always find rest too. And that's why Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7 matter so much. Listen to what it says. It says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, present your request to God, and the peace of God will guard your hearts and mind. I 100% love to read that passage of scripture. Mad Money makes a great point right here as to some of the things that you deal with in SPED. It takes just more time to get through things, to get accommodations in place and the additional requirements that are needed. But look what she says right here as well. This is also important, and this is the encouragement that we need as teachers. Is, if I can get it up there, all right, God is with me every day. He absolutely carries me through. And Mad Money, you're 100% correct. And so here's how he does that. I want you to see what he says. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, in every situation, by prayer and petition, present your requests to God, and the peace of God will guard your hearts and mind. First of all, notice that there's opportunity for anxiety. Every day as a teacher, there are multiple opportunities for anxiety to take over our life, to take over our thoughts, to take over our feelings. Every single day, something new pops up that creates the opportunity for us to be overwhelmed, or to feel inferior, or to feel like we are not able or capable of doing the job or fulfilling the calling that we've been given. So there's opportunity for anxiety. But also look at this. There's also opportunity to take anxiety and turn it up on top of its head. Because look at what it says. But in every situation, by prayer and petition, present your requests before God. We have the awesome opportunity to take the opportunity for anxiety and turn that into an opportunity to present that thing before God. And I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he figures things out or how he works through all the different scenarios. But this is what I do know, is that whether it's an opportunity for anxiety or an opportunity to present things to God, when they are presented to God, he gives us a peace that guards your hearts. And guess what? The mind. Because that's the mind, the heart and mind is where burnout takes place. So at Teacher Talk, our core verse is Proverbs chapter 4, verse number 23, that says, above all else, guard your heart, for from it flow the issues of life, right? So if the heart gets tainted, if the heart is angry, our life will be angry. If our heart is jealous, our life will be jealous. If we have a bad heart, then bad behavior is sure to follow, right? So above all else, guard your heart, for from it flow the issues of life. And what does he say right here? And where was we talking about this anxiety and all the things that we deal with at school? What does it do? It takes us out of our prefrontal cortex and puts us into our amygdala, the little peanut looking thing in our head. And all of a sudden, we're not making our decisions as rationally as what we usually do. So what does he say when anxiety comes? Present it to God, and he will do what? Guard your heart and mind. All right, that is not to say that times won't get tough. That is not to say that it won't be difficult. That is not to say that tomorrow everything's going to be better. It is to say, however, that we can lay down all of the things that we think are going to protect us, all the different trying to work harder, trying to get our boss to do certain things, trying to fight with students to make them do what they ought to do. We can lay all of that down. And we can present this request to God, and we can believe that he will guard our hearts and minds, which is exactly where burnout takes place. Now, here's the thing. Prayer is indeed a spiritual exercise. So I don't want to lose that point in here and have somebody think that I'm talking some kind of nutty stuff. It is indeed a spiritual exercise. But I also want you to know that it's a physical exercise as well, because prayer creates a physical shift. When we pray and we release things to God, it slows down our breath, our breathing. It lowers our blood pressure. It focuses our mind, and it reminds our body that it doesn't have to carry burdens alone, which is where we started. For those who are weak and weary, right? Come to me and I will give you rest. My burden is easy and my load is light. Do you see the connection? So yes, prayer is a spiritual exercise, but it's also a physical exercise. And that is tremendous, because he said he would give us rest. Now, here's the thing. What are some practical steps also that we can take? Number one, we have to get in touch with our body and get in tune with our body and notice when things begin to shift. Every teacher has a moment, or every person has a moment during the day when the nervous system begins to tighten up. Right? Maybe it's because your jaw begins to clench. Maybe you catch yourself snapping. Maybe you catch yourself kind of in a daze, kind of fogged out. Maybe your heart rate gets up. Maybe your shoulders begin to feel tension in your shoulders. All of these small little signals, all of these little early warning signs, we need to learn to recognize those. Hey, Mad Money Mama, you have a good week as well. I hope all goes well out in California. We're over in Florida where it is unseasonably, in my opinion, cold. Okay. But hopefully things are better over your way. And so learning to recognize the physical shifts that take place in our body, the early indicators that maybe we're slipping into fight or flight, maybe there's a little something wrong, is very important. And it allows you to respond, and you can take full control of your nervous system before it becomes completely full blown. The second thing is add tiny resets throughout your day. Little 3 to 5 minute resets are all it takes. And I know that time is very difficult in the world of teaching. But if you could find 3 to 5 minutes, 3 or 4 times a day, to just allow yourself to decompress for just a little bit, even if it's just for a few minutes, or if it's just occasionally, the small resets teach the nervous system that the danger that the brain believes that it's facing has passed. A 1 minute breathing pattern, or maybe it's a short walk down the hallway. Maybe you do some physical exercise. Maybe you stretch. You can retrain your body to release tension. One of the things that we have for that, and it's right down in the description box, and we want to encourage you to jump down there and get it, is we want to encourage you to jump down there and grab our 5-minute reset. We have that down there. It'll walk you through. That's 4 little quadrants that'll help you with resets throughout the day. The third thing that you can do is you can build boundaries into your life that protect you. I want you to hear that. Build boundaries into your life that protect you. Now, and I don't want you to misunderstand. We're not building boundaries into our life so that we can be more productive, although that will probably be a result. The purpose of building boundaries into our life is to make sure that we feel more human. And it very well may be that we create boundaries of a morning routine, or that we create a boundary or a rhythm of an intentional end of day routine, or a few minutes of unstructured joy that creates bookends into the chaos. It could be that one of the boundaries that we need to set, and I absolutely recommend this, is we're not going to bring work home. Our home needs to be a sanctuary. It needs to be a place where we meet with those that we love, where we sit around the table and we laugh and we talk, where we enjoy things like playing games together or watching a movie. Home does not need to become a second or third office. And unfortunately, that is exactly what has happened for many teachers, is that the house is just another office. And as a result, what happens is that the brain begins to pick up and say, hey, I'm at work, I'm at the office, there is danger here. And so what does it bring? It brings conflict between us and our spouse, between us and our kids. It creates an atmosphere where we're not able to rest properly. We're not able to stop our brain from rattling on and thinking all kinds of thoughts. Set boundaries. Down in the description box, there's a free guide. Just jump over to the website. You'll find it right there. Reclaim our limits. What did I call it? How to reclaim your limits. It's there for you, whatever I called it. I can't remember what I called it. And it's free. Everything there is free. It's 100% free. It's always free. And so we want you to go get it. A fourth thing is to create spiritual rhythms. I like what 1 Peter 5 says. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse number 7 says, to cast your cares upon him because he cares for you. And I think that's an incredibly profound passage of scripture, that the God of the universe, he cares for me, and he cares about the situation that I'm in. He cares about the burnout that I deal with. He cares about the fact that I feel unsupported at work, or whatever it is that you feel. He cares about the fact that parents speak badly about us or that they mistreat us. He cares about the fact that we struggle and we take personal a lot of times the things that students say to us. He cares about those things. And he says to cast them on him. And I like what the word actually means. It gives us the idea. I'm not sure how you receive that, but the actual idea is to take them and throw them at him. Throw them right on top of them. And I like that. And guess what? He has big shoulders. He's got big shoulders, and he can carry all of our problem. And you know what happens when you do that? The burden is no longer yours to carry, and he's quite capable. Now, as we try to land the plane, and I tell you what, I'm still not used to doing these live podcasts, but as we try to land the plane, I want you to think about what you've been struggling with and what you've been dealing with in the classroom, maybe outside the classroom. Are you short with others? Have you been snapping? Do you feel the cognitive fatigue and the decision fatigue, the emotional fatigue, the spiritual fatigue? If so, I want to invite you to do a couple things. Number one, address every problem with prayer. And number two, cast all your cares on him. Let him carry them. He's better at it than we are anyway. Now, if you haven't done so already, we'll want to ask you to subscribe. All right? And YouTube wants you to watch that video right there. But more than that, what we want you to do is we want you to stay strong and keep teaching.